Okay, took a little bit to set up, my dear community. Sorry for a little delay. I'm gonna turn this down. Love the music. All right, it's a mystical Monday. It's a mystical Monday, and it's about to rain here in California. Okay, a little more setup right here. Okay, okay, like this. Okay, perfect. Whew, taking a deep breath before I open up this mystical contemplation on how to find the solution to any challenges in life, no matter how big they can seem or how heavy they can feel on our hearts. And while more people are joining, I wanted to take a moment to say hello to you and thank you so much for joining. The idea for Mystical Mondays came to me 2 years ago, and it came as an invitation through Quantum Field. A good friend of mine said, "My goodness, I wish you would host a mystical transmission every week." And I said, you know what? Let's do the Mystical Mondays. And why mystical? Because the whole idea behind mystical and mysticism, it's an experience of something that we can only describe as sacred, right? It's sacred. Okay, I'm gonna go like this. And when we touch the sacred more and more and more, whether it is through a huge heart opening by being in the nature, and the nature moves us and begins to open up that mystical awareness, or whether we journey with different visionary plans that help us let go of the ego identity for a short time and to experience this deep reality, deep dimension. Whether we access this dimension through meditation and breath work and other spiritual practices, mystical means a direct experience of the sacred. And mystical is also means something that we can't explain by words alone. We experience it directly, right? And it's something that regular science cannot explain. All the extraordinary experiences of our life, right? The sense of awe, different psychic abilities, right? Different senses like that, that all comes to the mystical realm. And the mystical realm is also focused on understanding what happens beyond the physical, the metaphysical, right? So this is how Mystical Monday were born, to highlight these beautiful and profound existential topics, right, that open up a deeper dimension and a deeper experience of life. And if you and I meet for the first time, or maybe second time or third time, whether you're going to watch this live or as a replay on all of my other channels, my name is Katerina and my last name is Satori, and I received that last name right when I was about to step fully into my soul calling, and I start hearing things. You know, one of my these ways that I communicate with the bigger realities, I hear spirit. And let me know if you have the same sense. It's called clairaudience. And I heard the new name, and Satori comes from Japanese Zen tradition that is all about seeing your true nature. And it's such a big concept there, big understanding, because once we have illumination, this inner Satori, we are altered fundamentally, and we see ourselves, our abilities, our purpose, and the entire universe in a new way. And it's such a powerful shift of consciousness that it's not really possible to maintain it all the time, you will have a huge shift of consciousness. You see your true nature. And then what is recommended is to have a strong spiritual practice where you continue to develop and stabilize that big, profound shift. So it becomes more and more and more how you interact with reality. In this live stream, I wanted to bring you a topic that I named How to Solve All Difficult Problems in Life. And I wanted to offer you a mystical approach and also practical. Well, mystical is also very practical, but it's more grounded approach of how to support your mind when you go through a challenging time, what to give your mind to come back to the center, and how to cultivate that inner calm, right? Because when we go through challenging times, it's challenging to cultivate an inner calm, right? The mind goes into panic in a way. So I'm not a stranger to difficult times. I often say life has put me through the school of hard knocks, and like many people who seek spirituality from an early age, there is a reason for it. And usually it's because the beginning of life is challenging and the environment is so challenging that you seek deeper answers and deeper questions at an early age. So I've been searching for spirit since childhood, and I didn't know what to call it, But throughout my life, I was on this quest to understand what this life is about. And just to walk through life and to check points, of achievement, building a family, creating something significant. This is all wonderful, but I wanted to go deeper and to understand the bigger reality, what this life is about. And that brought me to to studying different spiritual traditions. And it was only a matter of time where I would meet the shamanic path, which is learning directly from nature and from nature spirits and from nature plants. We have very powerful plants that are conscious beings, and they're called visionary plants. And I've been apprenticing with them for the last 16 years. And my desire for that has always been to directly experience a larger reality. And it's almost like my soul has guided me in order to prepare for these big planetary changes. The more I would dove into directly experiencing a large reality, cosmic planes of reality, the more the body would let go of fear and the mind would let go of the concern about the future. And I often see myself, as a bridge and as a messenger between those cosmic planes and this earthly plane. Because every time I go on a deep spiritual shamanic journey myself, I come back and I process what I receive, I sit and I integrate, and then I bring my discoveries back to my community, back to whoever I feel called to share. So when it comes to finding strength and finding solutions to any challenge that comes our way, because challenges are a part of this physical experience, right? No matter what we do in life, who is with us, no matter how successful we can get, right? Challenges will be a part of our human curriculum. And what has supported me was this big realization that every challenge that comes into your life is driven by a hidden solution that lays within it. It's almost like when you look at a coin. You look at the coin, and let's say on one side it's a challenge, on the other side is a solution. So a challenge is a sort of, a mechanism that the soul uses to propel our growth. But what kind of growth? We can contemplate together, of course, a growth of new abilities, a growth of new strength. Whenever I meet somebody who has inner strength, they don't even need to say a word. It's You can sense it. You can sense it in their embodiment, you can sense it in their energy, right? You can sense it in their aura. And what that is, it's when somebody cultivates resilience over time and equanimity and a calm mind, and they source support from within, it begins to be expressed in their aura, in their energy field, right? That's why when you meet somebody who embodies that inner strength, it feels very calming to be with them. It feels like your energy begins to synchronize and match with their energy, right? So when a challenge comes, and it could be a sudden twist on your path, what happens is the first principle that I'll share with you that supports me is to immediately train your mind to remind yourself the challenge is here, the solution is also here. They arrive together. They arrive together. They always arrive together. But when the challenge comes, especially big challenge, it can feel very destabilizing. And when we are destabilized, we cannot connect to the solution. Our mind panics and focuses only on the challenge. And the more we focus on something, the more the mind begins to exaggerate, right, how bad the situation is. It's a natural mechanism of the mind. We can retrain it to focus on the solution, to focus on the support, to focus on gratitude. The mind needs to be trained, right, in order for it to shift to a solution, to a support, to I can collect myself and I can come to equanimity. So this is the practical aspect, and this actually comes from the study of the subconscious mind, the study of the mind, that every problem in our life is driven by the solution. And this understanding, I continue to see the truth of that again and again and again. So these big life problems come to us because they are, in a way, not in a way, they are attempting to open us in a new way, right? To open us to what? And I will bring you this mystical perspective that all big problems in life are resolved by the very first step, and it's a decision to seek the divine. The bigger the problem, the deeper is your connection with the divine gets to be. The more you get to dive into this ocean of stillness and seek your solutions from the divine, right? So I can share with you from my experience. You're welcome, Raluca. I can share with you from my experience when huge challenges come, and I start feeling destabilized, and I start feeling unsupported, and I start feeling all alone, and all my core wounds get activated. I'll speak about this in a few minutes. What I do, I go to a very sacred place in my home, and it's my prayer and meditation and altar room, and I begin to engage with deep spiritual practice. I dive into the ocean of consciousness, right? Before I ask for help for any human, my very first contact is with the divine. I go straight to the divine, right? To me, the divine is Divine Mother. How you call the divine is up to you. Nobody needs to police what do you call the divine? Divine doesn't care, right? As long as your heart makes a connection with the divine presence. I really love that term lately. Divine presence that is within you and all around you, protecting you. And the reason why I love addressing the divine as Divine Mother, because, Mother of all life. The Divine Mother gave birth to everything that exists, and she watches over our soul, not only this lifetime, but lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Really take in this perspective with me. There's this divine loving presence who envisioned your soul, who envisioned my soul, and watched over you over every single incarnation. So you seek the divine first. Hi, Doris. I am drinking kava. And this is very important right now, beloveds, because, when we have so much change on the planet and so much turbulence and so much military conflict and tragedies, the big message that I feel that is mine to continue to share is to connect people to this remembrance that whatever challenge comes your way, make it your first response. You're going to seek the help of the divine. And you will, I invite you to practice this really powerful process that I call mystical prayer. And why? Mystical prayers where you open your heart to the divine and you begin this intimate conversation with the divine. And you begin to welcome these challenges. You begin to open your heart to them. So the challenges come, they are a mix of a test before we go to a next level. Whether it's a next level of our leadership, of our service, or embodiment, challenges come to offer us an opportunity to embody everything that we know intellectually. And especially if we are in the path of leadership or being online teachers and educators, don't be surprised if challenges visit you twice as much, because you are holding a flame of wisdom, of light, and it's very important to continue to receive these tests, receive these lessons, and see these tests and lessons as gifts to strengthen you, as gifts to ignite new abilities in you. It reminds me of this saying that necessity is the mother of all invention. If you look back into your past and remember a challenging experience of your life, that when you were receiving it, you didn't know how you would go through it. And then something broke through, something unlocked in you a new strength, a new courage, a new bravery, a new sort of dynamism, a new creative power broke through you. So that's one example how I look at big challenges and big problems, right? I look at them as an opportunities to discover new abilities that lay dormant. And this challenge acts as a pressure on the diamond of my soul to crack out the old layers and to bring up a new strength, a new joy, a new opportunity, right? Then there's these three other aspects to it when you seek the divine and mystical prayer. And one of my beloved teachers that I follow, Muji, I highly recommend everybody to connect to his videos online, Muji. He always says, bring all your problems and put them in the basket of God. Put all your problems in the basket of God. And I love that so much. My version of that, I lay down all my imaginary burdens at the feet of Divine Mother. And why that is such a powerful practice? because you don't let these burdens and these anxieties to build up in your mind, right? Because if you keep holding on to them, if you keep carrying them, you don't have the space in your mind to receive the solutions. But when you go seek the divine and you say, I am being faced by this strong challenge, big problem, whether it's a health or finances or a loss of a partner, and you feel very tender, you feel very vulnerable. Remember this phrase: I put all of this at the feet of the divine. I put all of this at the feet of the divine. And when you say that, then the next thing is to listen for the instructions. The divine will respond to us with very specific and unique instructions. Sometimes it's like a thought will just come through: do this, or idea, try this, or call this person, right? And it's a very direct response. And we're going to apply our will, our personal will, to take that idea or thought and to energize it with our will and turning it into action. So it's a really powerful, practical way, because we seek the divine first, then we apply our will and apply our human reason through which the divine works, right? Trusting that the challenge comes to us because we are fully capable to meet it. Now, what I'd like to address, that I will also create a written post about it. When we go through big challenges, our core wounds will be triggered, and it's never easy to go through that, right? For example, when you go through a financial dips, right? Like a big financial dip will trigger your core wound. And usually we have two major core wounds. Core wound number one is the wound of abandonment, where you begin to fear that you have been forgotten or abandoned by life. And it's a very visceral experience, right? To go through it is not easy. And the second fear is, I'm not enough. And those two core wounds get just activated every time we're going through big challenges. Or maybe it's health, right? Or a divorce, or a depression. The core wounds get triggered. And they will continue to get triggered until we learn to feel that primordial pain, until we learn to witness those core wounds without judgment and learn to feel that pain, right? I was contemplating on the unease of being human that sometimes come to us, right? Sometimes it's simply not easy to be in a human body. Sometimes it's just not easy. And you're like, wow, everything just, comes at once and it's challenging. How do I? And the way that I work with these challenging emotions or feelings is I say to myself, again, in my mind or out loud if I'm by myself, I accept the unease of being human. Or I say to myself, this is how it feels to be human, right? This is how it feels to be human. And this is, of course, a deeper conversation for, the emotional alchemy. But ultimately, if we remember, this body is materialized spirit. So this is spirit, right? Where energy and in motion. This is body's materialized spirit. And if we remember that, we come back to this. I am spirit and I have a body, right? What do I know that is true for me? That every challenge comes driven by the solution. I get to go and seek the divine and talk to the divine right away. Bring all my burdens and lay it at the divine feet. And then I get to listen to instructions. And I feel like one of the challenging aspects when you go through that is to still the mind, because when fear takes over, you become like a little boat on a big turbulent sea. So your mind is like a little boat, right? So you need an anchor. You need something to anchor you into this moment. This is where the mind training is so important, right? Like a consistent training of the mind. If we aim to unlock our full potential, we get to train our mind for the rest of our physical life. And what I mean by training the mind has many levels. We have a conscious mind, we also have a subconscious mind, and we have a superconscious mind. So the mind that freaks out, right, is the conscious mind that can only operate in time, that can only compare to the past and only anticipate the future. So that conscious mind, when you are stressed and frightened, is only capable of imagining the worst case scenario, and that's how it feels. You're like a little boat on a big turbulent sea. So what can anchor you? You need something to anchor you, right? Well, the most direct anchor you can access to is your breath, right? I've been sharing so many breathwork journeys with my community, with my Wisdom Collective community. Every day I'm like, breathe with me, breathe with me, breathe with me. Why? Is, again, to train ourselves to reach for the tool that is most effective, right? Instead of, I'm gonna grab any kind of a numbing device, whether it is, pick your poison, I'm gonna lean into my friend, which is my breath. And I'm gonna train. When I am in distress, I go to the breath. It even rhymes. When I am in distress, I go to my breath. And there is a gazillion breathwork practices, but until you make it, as a core pillar in your life, you're gonna remain a little boat on a huge turbulent sea. You need an anchor, and that anchor gets to build every day. So breath is one. Second one is you get to give your mind a positive, uplifting word to focus on, or a mantra, right? From the ancient spiritual traditions, they always remind us mantras, mantras, mantras. For our Western mind, what really works is an affirmation. And an affirmation begins to offer you a steadiness of the mind. For example, today I was practicing this affirmation that comes to us from Yogananda. The divine is within and around me, protecting me. So I will banish the fear that shuts out the guiding light of the divine. Perfect peace and poise are mine today as I concentrate all my power and ability upon expressing the divine will. Perfect peace and poise are mine today as I concentrate all my power and ability upon expressing to the divine will. The power of utilizing affirmations is that the more you repeat them with sincerity and will, spiritual will, the more they become like the seeds that go deeper and deeper and deeper into your subconscious, right? If we simply say these affirmations without energy, without emotion, without passion, we're wasting our time. Hi, Anna. We're wasting our time. The affirmations are very powerful, but we get to engage our whole being. It's almost like a spoken command. And on the level of spiritual science, think about your word. Your word creates a vibration, right? When you speak, it creates a vibration. And that vibration begins to bring what you speak into existence into your life. So it's a very powerful practice as long as you do it with your full heart, with your full passion, right? And the third practice that I love is chanting. Like, it's been my evening practice lately where I go to Spotify and I find Krishna Das, one of my favorite bhakti yogi, right? Because why chanting is so powerful, why it's such an old tradition. It's such an ancient tradition that comes to us from India, many, many thousand years old. because chanting begins to awaken the energy of your heart. And when your heart is awakened, your mind begins to get still. When your heart is closed because it's closed by fear that gripped your mind, you're locked in, right? You're just trapped in this, imaginary nightmare, and maybe you're meeting a real challenge. But when your mind is frightened, it's gonna make it into a huge disaster, right? So in order to shift that, we want to activate the heart. So you go to your devotional place and you start listening to the chant, and you're chanting along. And what happens, your heart begins to feel, to feel these openings. And I often cry by my altar, right? I just feel this liberating power of mantras, and they begin to open your awareness, they begin to connect you. And this is called the bhakti yoga, the practice of devotion. So there is a powerful chapter on our path, on our spiritual path, where we arrive to a moment where we have an opportunity to make the most powerful decision of our life. Do you want to guess what that is? What would be the most powerful decision? The most powerful decision. I'm drinking kava. I'm in love with this drink. Nobody wants to guess. Okay, I'll give you the answer. I'll come closer to you. From my personal experience, beloveds, the most powerful decision we can make is to surrender our ego to the soul, right? This is the most powerful decision we can make. And this is why, I started this conversation with seeking the divine, how important it is to seek the divine. Because if we lived our entire life and have not made this organic connection with the divine, we have wasted our life. We have not experienced the true purpose of a human existence, to realize divinity while we are in form, right? We are divine, but it's only when we are in the human form we have a unique opportunity to realize divinity while in form. It's such an exciting journey. So the more we seek the divine, the more the divine runs to us, right? And it's never been outside, it's always been here within. So surrender is a very powerful leap of consciousness, where we begin to see the wisdom of this bigger plan unfolding through our life. And our deepest desire begins to serve that plan, right? So you begin to notice, wow, life has a unique geometry. I'm a fractal of this big current. Everything is unfolding. How can I serve that? How can I put all my gifts, all my creative potential, all my abilities, all my strength to serve that great awakening, that great unfolding? And when you put, when you continue to surrender, because surrender, from my experience, is a progressive journey. I personally had these huge moments of surrender that are very memorable in my consciousness, right? And then there is like a daily surrender, daily conversation with the divine. Use these abilities, use this voice, may I be an instrument for you. And devotion is a very powerful frequency, because to be devoted, as Richard Rudd said, is to lay in the lap of the divine. Lay in the lap of the divine. What are you devoted to, right? What a powerful question to ask ourselves. What are we devoted to? What are we devoted to? Because devotion will lift you up and helps you see why that big challenge or big problem arrived to your door. When devotion is not there, we're locked into the personal movie, right? Into a very heavy movie, and we don't have that energy to lift us up to a higher reality, a higher perspective. So what are we devoted to? What are we devoted to? I think about, the ancient times and a specific civilization that used to be here, that is no longer in a physical form, right? And it's one of the earliest civilizations. It's our mother civilization known as Lemuria, civilization that came before the Atlantis. And just imagine with me that there were these higher beings from the higher spiritual planes that volunteered to take a human form for the joy of adventure, of experiencing themselves in a physical form. So the very first civilization, right, we would call it in our terms, was Lemuria. And when you start gathering your research about that civilization and the majority of information about them, you can connect yourself by learning how to access Akashic records, right? Everyone can develop that abilities. It takes time and presence to open up those abilities. But you can connect yourself to the Akashic records, which is the memory bank of the universe. Or you can read different spiritual ancient teachings that have been offered to humanity, that writes about them. But one of the ways they were developing strength as human beings, divine entities in a human form, they were purposefully training their young children. Let's say, when a child turns 12, right? They had these rites of passage, and all the young boys in the Lemurian society had to pass the test of meeting the severity of the elements. So, for example, they would be left in nature all alone during a huge rainstorm, right? During a huge rainstorm, while lightning, or was close proximity to the wild animals. So they were put in a challenging situation on purpose. Why? To develop the strength, to develop equanimity, to develop an ability to collect your thoughts, master your mind, seek the divine power within. We live in a different civilization where the challenges that we meet are the challenges of economy, the challenges of politics, the challenges of military conflict, right? So we are not being put into a wild nature to meet and to uncover our strength. We are in a different kind of jungle, the city jungle, the modern jungle, that has a lot of different challenges. So I find it's very fascinating to compare that every civilization will have a unique, challenge that we experiencing to unlock our abilities as spirit in form, to master our mind, to seek the divine, to apply our will, to turn our thoughts into actions, right? All of that. When I study with Paramahansa Yogananda, I've been quoting him a lot lately, and I love that illuminated master so much, especially after I read a biography about his life. Not the one that he wrote. He wrote autobiography of a yogi this is not a book. This is a portal, right? That you go through, and it transforms your consciousness if you really read the book and receive its depth. But there is another book by Philip Goldberg who wrote about Yogananda. And Yogananda brought the science of yoga to the West, and he brought it to the West during a turbulent times. He came to the West right after World War One, right after that, and everybody thought, this was the last war, and people were so excited, we will never be in war. This is amazing. This is the last one. And then what happened just a few years later? There was a World War II. And when you study Yogananda's teachings, he would say, when the world is agitated and divided and conflicted, that's when the spiritual teachings I needed the most, because that's where we get to remember who we are as a crystallized energy in a body, and what is the perspective of a bigger reality. Because if we not able to connect to a bigger reality of what is happening, it is very challenging to go through difficult times, so we don't have this deep spiritual support. So he always says, meditation solves everything. Meditation solves everything. You have a big problem, meditate. You have a big problem, meditate. And why? Why? His consistent guidance, no matter what we experience as life, he directs you to meditate, is because he points you to a deeper dimension that can only be experienced on our own. And the more we're willing to dive into the deeper dimension, that's where the answers are unique to us. That's where the guidance is. I remember as a little girl, I always felt this quiet, loving presence in my life. Even at the most turbulent times at home. I grew up with a quite severe childhood PTSD that left deep scars on the psyche. It took me many, many years to address them. But I remember, even in the most turbulent times, I never felt this presence, that there was some kind of a presence was looking after me. I've never felt it's leaving, right? And that's how I always experience the divine, as the loving, watchful presence that would shield me, that would protect me, that would redirect my path when I was about to go on the wrong way, right? And that divine presence surrounds every human being. We get to connect to it more and more and more and more. And I am here to share how I do it and how incredibly supportive it is, on the path of leadership, on the path of, sculpting your life and actualizing your potential and unlocking your gifts, to seek that connection with the divine every single day. And the jewel of this process is you begin to have this, this pulse. You begin to feel so intimate with the divine that you don't break that awareness. It's you begin to move through your life, right? As this beautiful dance, spirit and matter dancing together, spirit and matter dancing together. So, love this topic. I love this topic. I feel what we're really all after is this unshakable peace, knowing that life has a plan, that there is a divine order. And Yogananda writes that the divine is a great novelist, and our human minds cannot grasp a lot of things that are happening on the planet. We don't really understand the purpose of darkness, the purpose of shadow, the purpose of pain, the purpose of suffering, right? All of that can be revealed to us. We can begin to see the deeper wisdom the more we dive into a deep dimension and contact the divine ourselves. You can call it universe, you can call it loving presence, you can call it energy field, you can call it God. I call it Divine Mother. And knowing that this great spirit that is watching over you lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, providing and supported. But the unique opportunity of this modern time is unique opportunity of co-creation with the divine. If, for example, in the medieval times, medieval mystics, they would rely everything on the divine. They didn't really unlock the power of individual spirit in a way. In the modern times, we have this unique opportunity to co-create with the divine, to be the instrument of the divine, right? To be the agents of grace. And that is such a beautiful journey. So in this deep dive conversation, I covered a lot. And I'm going to summarize the few points. When the challenge or big problem comes into your life, train your mind to immediately say, every challenge is driven by its solution. I am going to see and find that solution now. And you want to listen to the instructions. You listen to the ideas, listen to the flashes of inspiration. When the big challenge and the problem comes into your life, your conscious mind begins to panic, or begins to obsess. It's like this little boat on a huge turbulent sea. That boat needs an anchor. And an anchor, the first anchor is your breath work. Second anchor is any kind of a mental affirmation. You're going to give your conscious mind something to repeat, something to hold on to, right? And the more positive and uplifting and true that affirmation is, the more it's going to support you. And then devotion is the next piece that can anchor you into here and now, where all solutions are. Right? So whether it's a devotion that you express through chanting, or devotion through creativity, or devotion through service to others, devotion is that powerful spiritual energy that will lift you up and help you see a bigger reality, help you see a bigger perspective. Once you see a bigger perspective, you'll be able to see the solution. You'll be able to see the opportunity. You'll be able to see how this challenge is helping you become stronger, more resilient, right? More humble, more compassionate. When big challenges come into your life, they also will trigger your core wounds. The more we understand that, the more we begin to objectively look at emotional experience that shows up when we go through a difficult time. The two core wounds that I have named in this video, the core wound number one, abandonment. It's this difficult visceral experience where you literally feel like you are left behind, that you are without support, you're all alone, right? When a true abandonment wound gets activated, it's not an easy experience, right? So just knowing that's what happens, learn to be with those wounds. And if you are brand new to this conversation, maybe somebody's going to watch me on YouTube. If you are brand new to this conversation, welcome to a true spiritual path, right? Find a guide, find a spiritual confidant who is skilled to help you understand these patterns and these programs and the soul wounds that have been formed in the early childhood. The deepest wounds are formed in the early childhood, right? So the abandonment wound and I am not enough, or the fear, the fear of failure, the fear of like you are not enough. That's another wound as well. So this is a big talk, but I only do these mystical Mondays once in a while. I hope, my dear ones, that brought encouragement into your life. I want you to know that, I read high frequency spiritual literature every day for at least an hour. And it's another form of yoga. It's a yoga of sacred knowledge. It's a really powerful practice because every single day we can get really burdened by the fears and the anxieties of the collective. And we can lose our connection with the true freedom. So when you start your day by lifting your mind to these higher dimensional truths, you strengthen your soul, you strengthen your identity, right? And you move through your day not just as human, but as divine in form. And that is powerful. Thank you for joining me on this conversation about the power of challenges, about how to access the divine, that living, loving, mysterious, omnipresent, omniscient presence that is what breathes you and I, that what beats our hearts, that what guides our lives, right? This divine presence has never left us. And when we seek that, we know that what we lost, because we will have a loss, we will have a loss, right? Loss is a part of this reality. I want to offer you something that I chant. Whatever you lose will come back to you in a different form. So remember that the nature of this reality is change. The nature of this reality is contrast. The nature of this physical reality is ongoing transformation. But there is something that is unchangeable within you, which is your spirit and the divine presence that guides your life. So I hope this was inspiring to you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share these messages with you. I'll make a few announcements for those who are still here. If you'd like to experience the mystical power of a living presence, I would invite you to consider joining me in Peruvian retreat that I'm leading this year in September. And the reason why I love Peru so deeply with all my heart, I'll continue to come back there by myself, but this is going to be a last group retreat. And then I'm taking a pause indefinitely, and I'll continue to come back for my own sabbaticals. The reason why I love sharing that experience is because people of Peru have never broke the connection with the Mother Earth. It's century after century cultivated ritualistic devotional relationship with nature. And when you go there, you feel it in the field. You feel it in the way people make rituals. You feel it in the way people live from their hearts. And that transforms you. You know, every single person who came with me for the last 2 retreats that I led have shared with me how deeply transformative and healing this experience was for them. We also work with a very gentle plant medicine that can open your heart and can heal your heart in a very gentle way, and it's Vachuma or San Pedro. And entire retreat is designed to nourish your soul and to open up a new vision and to give you this opportunity to experience spaciousness. You know, it's a very different rhythm. Every time I go to Peru, I am so inspired to come back here and to cultivate a new rhythm to cultivate a new way of being. So you receive a transformation on the level of every level of your being, and it's you create memories that you will remember for the rest of your life. So if you'd like to join us, reach out to me for a conversation. Of course, everything is on my website, but I meet every person who is coming to make sure this experience is for them and they are good for the group. Oh, come, just raised up my energy. And if anybody has a question about everything I've covered, let me know. I'll stay here with you for a minute. And if not, you can always post your questions in the comments, share this video with anybody who is learning how to meet big challenges. You know, those big challenges often take us to our knees, but that's the place where we find our true power, the power of surrender, the power of devotion, the power of, you know, getting that small self that wants to insist on control, get it out of the way so the power of your soul can work through you, right? Those are some of the most difficult, dark chapters in our life, have a potential to be the most profound teachings, right? Suffering, grace come together. It's just how support and challenge comes together. So if you are finding yourself in a challenging time, hopefully this video will offer you encouragement and nourishment to your heart to know that you are not forgotten by life, that you are being watched all over every single step, and one day everything that you're going through will how would I describe it? You will see it from a new perspective. And it may take a while. You know, some things that happen in our life, we just unable to see why we received that experience. But the divine never makes a mistake. You know, there is this great storyline that is unfolding through us. And if you take heart, find support, and trust that understanding will be revealed to you, it will absolutely will come. And in the meantime, you are going through a process that's called soul polishing. You're polishing and polishing and polishing your soul so it can shine in all its beauty. Thank you. I love you. I will see you soon.